And the nation's largest auto retailer set to report May sales results. CEO Mike Jackson of AutoNation joins us with those numbers as the second hour of Squawk Box begins right now. Still to come, we're going to be talking AutoNation. That's the nation's largest auto retailer. It's releasing its latest numbers on monthly sales. I'll give you a good idea about what people are buying. We've got the CEO, Mike Jackson. He'll be bringing us the numbers and what they say about the state of the consumer.
AutoNation, the country's largest Ford, GM, Chrysler, and Toyota dealer, is announcing its May sales results. And here now, first on CNBC with those results, is Mike Jackson, the chairman and CEO of AutoNation, joining us this morning. Mike, good to see you. You want to give the number, or should I?
No, Carl, good morning. I'll go ahead and give it. We retailed just over 16,000 units in the month of May. That's a decline of 15% from the prior year. And if you look at the categories there, our domestic resurgence and the domestic renaissance continues. That business was up about 3%. Premium luxury is fine, up about 1%, especially considering that Lexus was down 50% in that category. But we had a big decline in our Japanese business of just over 30%. And of course, that's the supply disruption, the decline of shipments, lower inventories, significantly reduced incentives, and higher margins at retail and higher transaction prices. So considering that overall, it's a weak economic recovery to throw that kind of disruption into the auto industry, it's not unexpected to see these kind of declines in volume. However, the industry is well prepared to handle it. Steve, good to see you this morning. Thank God the industry, led by the Auto Task Force, took the pain and dramatically restructured. And is it profitable at absolute volume levels that are still depression levels at both the manufacturer, supplier, and retail level? But there's light at the end of the tunnel. The Japanese are all giving better reports as to future production, and whereas before we were looking at year-end, it could be later this summer that we see significantly improved shipments from the Japanese.
Yeah, Japanese, at least Toyota thinks they can get to 90% of production capacity this month, and they were, I think, earlier projections were more like 70 or so. The take I'm hearing, Mike, is that for later in the year, lots are going to be fairly clear. The pressure to provide incentives to consumers not going to be as acute. Does this mean good things for the second half?
I think it's going to be back to business as usual in the second half, and you'll see significant increases in sales year over year in the second half. The die is sort of cast for June and July. The story will be very similar, although I will say the comps compared to last year for June and July, we hit that malaise economically last summer, so the comps are relatively easy. But it's going to be the same story of higher margins, lower incentives, and difficult supply issues. But at least the industry is very solidly profitable, led by the domestic three. And I think the number, if I look at the marketplace, that is interesting, is 50%. The domestics are almost at 50% market share in the month of May. And the other aspect, this is an unbelievable number, almost 50% of the vehicles sold in the month of May were powered by four-cylinder engines.
Huh.
That is a transformation for the American people. And what's happening, Carl, is, in the summer of 08, we had a panic, chaos, catastrophe. The consumer overreacted. This time I see something much more sustainable. And here's the proposition that we're making to the consumer today. You can basically have the same size vehicle if you're willing to walk away from V8s and in some cases V6s and buy a high-tech engine that gives you the same performance with much improved fuel economy. And the American consumer would never go for that in the past. Matter of fact, the industry never pushed that in the past. But this is really a transformation where I see almost 50% of the vehicles powered by four-cylinder engines, and V8s have fallen below 20% of the mix, where they used to be up towards 30%.
Yeah, that is interesting. It was nice, Stephen, to see GM, Ford, and Chrysler at least lead the month, right? We haven't seen that in a while.
Oh, absolutely. Look, it's great what's happening with Detroit. It's unfortunate that some of it may relate to what's going on in Japan. And I guess what I would just ask Mike quickly is, how good are the products coming out of Detroit? I think Ford has been great, but are GM and Chrysler producing the kinds of products that will sell in the long term as Japan gets back online?
Yeah, I think, Steve, and I think you saw it when the Auto Task Force went to Detroit. First, yes, you had a business model that had to go, and it took a painful bankruptcy to finally kill that business model that was totally irrational. But behind that, the domestics were on the way to very exciting new products with outstanding quality and outstanding innovation and great design. So the point was there was something worth saving, and thank God, and it pains me as a Republican to say this, that the government stepped in and led the way to save the American auto industry for another day. But Steve, this is real, it's genuine. It's a new business model with exciting new products, with an emphasis on fuel efficiency and the ability to build small cars in America profitably. And when you see a subcompact like the Ford Fiesta being the #1 subcompact in America, well, who could have imagined that just 2 years ago? So this is real. It's going to continue. The recovery in the auto industry is genuine and underway. We're on a journey back to 15, 16 million units a year. This is a bump in the road that we're going to have to live through. It's going to take several more years, but it's going to happen, and it's going to be very profitable and very rational and very sustainable at every level.
Mike, good to talk to you. Thanks for that. And we'll hopefully get the numbers from you again when we talk to you next month, if not before. Mike Jackson joining us in Fort Lauderdale.